Welcome to Secrets of a Bridal Seamstress podcast, where we hear stories from fellow seamstresses just like you. We're able to share their success stories. We learn from wedding industry pros for the best business tips, and we get to hear from fellow sewists and crafters to hopefully inspire our creativity and our love for sewing. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're a bridal seamstress, I'd also like to invite you to check out our Bridal Seamstress business membership. We have a community of women that can testify to the power of genuine connection, friendship, vulnerability, the power of our six-figure seamstress method, and a genuine connection found in a business mentorship like this. All right, let's dive into the episode. Welcome back to another episode of Secrets of a Bridal Seamstress, and we are here with Leslie Stanfield of Lace Envy Alterations, and she's in my neck of the woods. Well, other side of the state, which really feels like a different state, but anyway, she's in Spokane, over the mountains, so it's like hours away. And Leslie, there's so many things that I love about you, but when I think about you, I think about never-ending energy, obviously. And you're always up for something new, learning new things, taking on a lot of work, but also completing the work so beautifully. And I don't know, you just never run out of the creative juice. So it's your job to share that with everybody today.
Well, I'll try my best with that.
Okay, so when I was thinking about you, I'm like, I don't even think I know your origin story because I remember when you got the new building and I remember when you had the painting done behind you, like all that fun move-in stuff, but I don't remember where it started.
Just the bridal sewing, is that kind of our thinking, or when I started the business?
Yeah, when you started the business. Oh, because the business came before. Yeah, go way back. Yep.
We'll go back like 10 years.
Do you also want to
I think
preface with how many children you have? Because that's also a big deal.
well, I mean, that was kind of it. My husband and I have been together. We will be married 19 years this November. And we had our first baby right out of high school and then had a baby every year since then. So we have 5 kids.
Oh,
And
and also
the whole
Leslie
weekend.
looks like she's 28. Okay, so when you meet her in person, that's why I just cannot believe. Yeah, you've just done a lot in your life.
Life is a lot. It just is. I don't know. I definitely have always been a extrovert. So I get so much energy when I'm around people, which is my favorite. So I get to do that and hang out with friends all day, which is great. But even with my little kids and raising our family, I needed to do stuff at home. I've never been just a homebody,
Yeah.
cleaning, cooking things. So I sewed at home for 11 years.
Was that
Um,
like to bring in like extra money, like you did alterations or just for fun?
It was like fun money. I mean, it paid my hobby. Like I wanted to be able to sew cute costumes for my kids for Halloween and dresses for the girls because we have 4 girls. And so it kind of started as a hobby to pay for the fabric that I wanted to buy for my family.
And that was all
And
girl alterations.
yeah,
Okay.
so I did alterations. I made baby bedding. I made costumes for other people. I started doing embroidery, so names on stockings. I did alterations for the Air Force Ball. My husband's in the Air Force, so it was just
Anything that you
anything.
could make money with like a needle and thread. You could do
Yes.
it.
So that was kind of what I did during nap time, and my that was my recentering time, which I really loved. I think it's so great that I have my own space now, as opposed to having to put everything on the kitchen table and then put it away again. So when my youngest went into school, I decided I could leave the house. I'm like, what? I haven't left the house, and I hadn't had a real job in a long time. So I got a job at Joann's.
I worked at Joann's in college. It was like, well, I worked there right before I went to college. And then like for a couple of years, they would take me back during breaks, and I'd work like summer and Christmas breaks. And then when I graduated and I got my first teaching job, like at a middle school, I would work like the morning shift with all the sketchy people, like stocking zippers and buttons from 4 to 9 a.m. or whatever, because I taught
Yeah.
part-time. So yes, that was the Super Joann's. So were you at a traditional Joann's or a Super Joann's?
I was not a traditional Joann's.
The best
I
kind.
thought they were gonna. I thought because had so much fabric knowledge that they would stick me back at the cutting counter, which I wanted to touch all the fabric. And instead, because I'm really good with customers, they stuck me up at the front, and I meet and greeted and stocked shelves and cut coupons for them. So it was fine, but I did it for about a year and a
You'd
half.
be so cute. I can totally picture that.
Yeah, it was, I mean, again, I got to meet people and it was fun.
Yeah.
But after about a year and a half, I found out someone who had been there for 15 years made 50 cents more than me. And it was, again, this was like a while ago, like 10
Yeah.
years ago almost. And that was, I was shocked. I was like, well, I have skills. I'm not staying here. And it
Yeah.
was the weekend of Martin Luther King Jr. Day or whatever. So people were off for holidays. And I made my first, oh gosh, it's a paper that you make that, your resume.
Oh,
Totally no words. I
I
made
feel
my
like it's a
first
long time
resume,
since we've made a resume. So, oh, what are those things called?
right? And I sent it to every bridal shop in the area. It was like, I can sew. And I knew I didn't want to hem pants and I
Hmm.
didn't want to do things like that. I wanted to work on something pretty. And I'm
Yeah.
like, great, awesome.
Had you
And I
done
got
a wedding dress before?
I had done like ball gowns and no, I did do two wedding dresses and they were small, like very easy going things. So I had like taken one in and hemmed another, but I had never done a bustle. I didn't even know what a bustle was.
Yeah.
So it was just minor fitting. And I literally sent that email out and within 12 hours got a response and had an interview set up the next day and was hired the next day. So
Wow.
I was so excited. My original thought was like, great, I can sew. I'm really good at learning things. I can't wait to absorb someone's information and like
Right.
figure all of that stuff. And when I got hired, I found out that the other seamstress that was there had only been there for 3 months
Hmm.
and that the woman that was training her had just quit. So,
This is all coming back to me. This is okay.
yeah,
Now I do know your story, but it's a good one. So
yeah.
keep, okay.
So we really just bonded so quickly. She was a teacher herself, loves math, whatever. Kristen is one of my most favorite people. I mean, we Marco Polo still to this day
Mhm.
about, hey, do you want to sit down and just talk about what your favorite alterations are? You and like the only other five people in the world who are interested in it. Like, yeah, let's do that. But so we just ran that together. We really were given so much freedom to run our schedules and do the brides. And I mean, it was just amazing and magic. And we worked together for 5, 6 years, 7 years. I don't know. It was a while.
Yeah.
And we loved it. And COVID kind of kicked my butt because everyone else had to leave. And so I was working that summer by myself, trying to just get everything done because I can sew by myself and not get anybody sick while everything was shut down. And just like the way we could never hire anybody after that easily. And it was just too much work. So my husband had been encouraging me for years. I was like, 10 years down the road, I might have my own business. No, he's Leslie, you should do it. And kind of kicking and screaming. I was like, I guess. But all the business stuff, like coming up with a name, having your brand, everything there was so overwhelming. But it has been the best blessing of our lives together. Like it has really given me so much freedom. I still have a lot of really busy seasons, but like even this year, I really did my best to be more thoughtful with how many brides I'm bringing in.
Yeah.
I didn't stay past, like at my shop sewing this year past 10 p.m., not even once. And last
Yeah.
summer, I
Yeah.
was here. I'm pretty sure I was here till 4 a.m. 3 or 4 times. And this year, I didn't do it once. I was
Right.
so happy. But yeah, it's been really, really great. So that
So
kind
then
of,
with Lace Envy, how soon from when you quit the bridal shop to finding your building? Like, how did that work?
yeah,
Like a build out too?
I'm subleasing. It's a very small space. I think it's 500 square feet plus a bathroom, and I don't know how much space that is.
Mhm.
My husband works part-time at a, like, I guess you would call this a strip mall. It used to be four different shops, and now it is rented by the same company. So
Mm.
they were working on taking over this other portion that used to be a physical therapy office, and they were going to leave like the front 10 feet of this section open. They weren't going to use it. So they put this big wall here and they have the back side of this building. I think it's like 3,500 square feet, but I only have 500.
Yeah.
It's a
And that's what's
pretty,
needed. You know what I mean? So it's okay.
it's so perfect. But yeah, no, my husband got to help me map out where I wanted like a divider wall. It's a bowling alley, is what I call it. I have a big, long 10 by 50 square foot building. Like it's a bowling alley, but I got to do anything I want to.
Yeah, that's
It's been
awesome.
really great. But when I decided that I needed a different change, while I was working at the other shop, I started talking to the owner there and be like, I need something different. Is there something that we could find that like maybe I'd come in, or do I rent your space? We were just trying
Yeah.
to figure out how, if we could make something work together. And I think about that time is when they were deciding to do this. My husband was like, Leslie, you should just use the space.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started talking. So it was almost immediate when I had already decided that I was going to cut ties that I started finding those little things. So it's kind of
Oh,
perfect.
okay. I didn't realize that it was like from one to the other because I think a lot of, a lot of stories I hear, it's like kind of you start from home and then it's like you kind of outgrow that space. But I imagine that like with the kids, it's like that wasn't even on the table.
Yeah, there was a transition from when I quit because I mean, we schedule, you know what it's like. If
Yeah.
you're scheduling way far in advance. So I had already had brides on my schedule when I was like, I need to quit.
Yeah. So that
Um,
go
and
somewhere.
so Yeah. So what we ended up doing with that, I believe that transition is she used me as a contracted seamstress. So I did all of the fittings at their shop, and then I brought the work home. So
Mhm.
had already my business insurance set up. Had a nice sewing studio in the basement. It was the entire space was mine.
Yeah.
And so I was just bringing dresses to and from, doing all the fittings at the bridal shop, doing all the sewing at home.
Yeah.
And I think I did that for
Stepping.
like 3 months. It was
Yeah.
3 months in.
That
But
that's been like a long 3 months. And your car must have been pristine. Oh my word.
all the time, I mean, this minivan became the bridal dress van. It was definitely not for kids. They were not allowed. But yeah, so it was
So I want to
really
hear like a
different.
little bit more about like finding the space and if you don't mind
Mhm.
sharing even like how you work the numbers because I think somebody listening they're like okay I want to start a business or I'm starting a business soon
Mhm.
ideally I'd love to have a professional space and they don't even know where to start or like how to even plan your funds or should your ticket change because of the space that you're in or whatever. So can you kind of walk through what your expectations were and then
Mhm.
what like your reality was? Because
Yes.
sometimes they don't match.
Yeah. Well, and again, after working in a bridal shop where everything was so professional, I really loved that feeling. So for me,
Mhm.
working from home, it wasn't an option. I get very stressed out about things in my house because I'm like, if I'm sewing at home, I'm worried about neglecting my kids or my family. And if I'm with my kids and my family, I'm worried about neglecting my sewing. So it needed to be a very separate space for me. So I had started looking at rental buildings in the area, what they were going to be. The new builds, completely out of my budget. And goodness, my husband's really smart. He's the one who like gave me all this. He's a lot of you thought about taking over like a small part of someone's studio. So I started looking at some of you'll see that with like beauty labs almost, where they'll have you're an esthetician in one room, you'll have these things here, hairdressers, that kind of stuff. And so I started looking out to see if there was someone who wanted to share a space.
Oh yeah.
And so I was on like Facebook Marketplace looking for stuff. I had found this weird apartment that was on the backside of a restaurant. Like I was trying to
Yeah.
find something. I didn't love the restaurant thing because I'm like, I'm going to smell Mexican all day.
Right.
So maybe not. But again, that would have been better than being at home.
Right.
So when I started looking at doing some subleasing kind of thing or taking it over a partial rent, it made more sense for me.
Yeah.
I was ideally hoping to stay under $1,000 a month,
Hmm.
just because realistically, how many brides I could take in that could cover my baseline before I could make a profit. And so
Right.
that was
That
kind
was
of,
what I did too. It was like, how many brides will it take to pay this rent?
yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, with some of these, again, these newer builds, they like in those little strip malls that they have, it's way too much space. I didn't need like 2,800 square feet. That's
Right.
huge.
Right.
for just a one woman show over here, absolutely not. That's not where I was going to start. So for me, I kind of found a few places that were closer to $800 or $600 a month. And I was like, okay, I can find something realistic in that in my area. And then I started honing in on what was closer instead of a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
I literally live 5 minutes from my shop. So it's so
That's
wonderful.
the best. Yes.
I can get over here as quickly as I need to. Any of my kids can run over here and use my machinery if they want to.
Yeah.
So it's been really, really great. But I do think that really understanding the how much money you need to make to be able to cut your rent check and still make a profit at home and still be able to, have a life outside of work is so important. I do feel like because I have a storefront, that I've definitely made sure that my costs reflect that.
Yeah.
Just because I do need to cover all of those other things.
Right. Right.
I don't think it has to be significantly different than a home seamstress because you still have all of your stuff at home. You
Totally.
have your insurance. But I do think that those costs go up slightly to cover all those extras.
Yeah. And that were like, those are just such great ideas of thinking outside the box, of finding a space, And I think too, because how many places did you view before your husband was like, oh, go to this, check out this spot?
I had called and I was working with a realtor, and we went to 4 or 5 different places
Oh,
that
wow.
were in my budget. So I really could see I really got a good variety of different types of buildings that I realized I didn't want.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, Still kind of sad downtown Spokane. There's some gorgeous buildings, and I think the rent is close to what we have here, but it's kind of sketchy taking dresses in and out. There's
Yeah.
not parking. I have a full parking lot here. No one has to pay for it.
Yeah.
I
I
think
know
the
those are the things
location.
that you do have to consider. And it's like you just,
Mhm,
we kind of have like in our mind like a vision of like what the dream space would be. And I remember,
mhm,
because I always talk about like just touring spaces is like the first step, just like getting in the door, like seeing, because then you just start to imagine yourself there and okay, this is where the sewing machine would be, that's where the dressing room would be, like just, and then okay, how would it work financially? And you just start thinking about it, which is instead of being afraid of it, that's not the first step. But I toured a few, and that was in 2000. And I remember the first couple, it was like, well, I guess we could make this work. And there was a space that was really close to where we lived at the time. And it's on a main drag. So whenever I would sit at this red light, I would look in the window. It used to be a toy store. And I'm like, that would be the cutest space because I could picture like where the sitting room would be, and then that wall would have the mirror. Like I just pictured it. So it's
mhm,
so weird that well, that's where I am now. So like Duran and I went for a walk. I remember this was like May, and talked about I really just got to get out of the house. And I know, because we were just like busting at the seams with like dresses were in my sewing room, and then we had a really oversized laundry room. And so I had a bunch of dresses in there. And I said, I love the toy store. And he's like, I know. Well, 2 weeks later, it had a for rent sign in the window. And I was like, what is this?
mhm,
Yes, like so that was May. And by June 1st, I had the keys. It was just like so meant to be. But it was like,
mhm,
it's not a huge space by any means, So it's perfect for what I'm doing now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
mhm,
if I even needed to extend my workspace farther out, I could, but yeah, it's just the perfect little space. I knew that, okay, I just need one bride a month to cover the rent. And it's funny
mhm.
because as my prices have increased, so has my rent. So it's okay. But it still is, I got to get that on my ticket because that's going to be like,
Mhm.
but it was just like getting in the rooms for the places, because I definitely went to a place where I'm like, is this really all that I can afford? And it was like,
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm. Yep.
Just like
Yep.
a
That's
house,
how I
like,
felt about
okay,
the
reality check.
yeah, that is how I felt about that apartment that was behind the Mexican restaurant. I was like, well, it is in my budget, but no, no, thank you. Oh,
Ask me something
uh,
else. This is a good start. Okay.
yeah.
It's so funny.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I kind of want to switch gears totally. And I know at the very beginning of the episode I talked about your like energy that's like never ending. And just like at retreats, I just picture you as the one who's like constantly like encouraging and like uplifting the other women. And so that leads me to ask the question, have you ever been brought down? That's what I want to know because I can't picture that.
I have,
What does it take to bring you down?
it doesn't happen very often. It really doesn't. I mean, especially in like my work life. There's
Yeah.
not a whole lot in my work life that brings me down. I get to celebrate all day. I love my brides. I just happen to have the best ones. I don't know, but every once in a while at work, it's it's hard to put your finger on it, but I do know that when I have someone who is having a difficult time in their own life,
Mm,
usually we will have talked about that and they're bringing it into my shop. And I feel like I've always been very empathetic and absorbing of energy. Like,
yeah.
again, I can take it from somebody. So when I'm around introverted people, I'm so sorry. I snap you of everything you've got. But so I really do take on a lot of emotion. And so there's maybe I might have one bride a year who's going through something.
Mm,
And, you'll get those brides and everything bad happens to them. Everything bad. If you're going to forget to put something on their ticket and then you have to call them back and say, oh, just kidding. This wasn't on there, but this is pinned. Do you still want me? It's this much. And then something happens and you have to cancel and change their appointment because like
yeah.
something happens to that bride. But there's usually that kind of thing where I'll have this bride who everything bad and everything horrible at that moment is happening.
Yeah.
And it makes it really difficult to communicate, I think, about their wants for their dress
Yes. Yeah.
because they don't have a lot of that joy in that space.
Yeah. That's
So,
interesting that you went like the emotional route. I was thinking of like a physical answer. Oh, this is like the most difficult dress. But you went like with the emotional way. So I thought that was very
yeah,
telling.
no,
Yeah.
dresses are what they are. Like, I don't know. I look at it as an educational thing. Like, I have a hem that I'm working on finishing up today that I had never done before. And annoyed with the manufacturer for reinventing the wheel. Like, why would you do that? But you know, I didn't know, the bride didn't know. And so I'm just going to finish it up and it'll be great. And I learned something new about that
Mhm.
particular dress. So the dresses don't get me mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are what they are. Sewing is great. I don't mind looking at something from a new angle. And I actually really enjoy having that on my back burner. I'm like, oh, great. I did this differently here for this application. So I
Yeah.
do really enjoy learning. So dresses
Yeah.
don't get me down. It is always my client.
Oh,
We I
yes.
feel like we feed each other. I've really loved women forever. I love being around women. If I didn't do bridal seamstress, I'd probably work at a beauty lab doing
Oh, I could
lashes
see
so I
that
can
too.
try.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so it is definitely more of an emotional thing in connection with my brides that I just really enjoy having conversation and being able to bring their dreams to life, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And when they don't have that or they're just hate the dress, then I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
can't even do what I want with this because I want you to love it and I want you to
Yeah.
feel good in it.
You're a great communicator. So I'm sure that when there's like a miscommunication, not miscommunication, but when there's something not clicking, you're like, how do we fix this? Because this isn't an issue with anybody else. You know what I mean? But
No,
sometimes I feel that way
absolutely.
where I'm like, how did we get here? I feel like I
Yeah.
crossed all my T's and dotted my I's and it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I've only had one bride in 11 summers that I came across that I had a narcissistic mother. Narcissistic mother, I guess. That was
Oh,
probably the worst experience I've ever had because it all blew up at the end. And there's not even anything I could have done to know I was in the situation
yeah.
until it because everything had been just so loving, so great. I'd never been around someone who was a narcissist before, so I didn't realize that they fed you all of these positive things, and that wasn't fun. But I couldn't even put any policies in place for it because I'm like, if this is just a human being,
Yeah. It was just
this
like a
isn't
one
something
off.
that I can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So but really everything else, like I can very easily emotionally make myself feel better about in their situation because I'm like, we can talk about it.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that is hard.
Yeah, I want to figure out how to teach that skill better because that is such a critical skill with among bridal seamstresses. And I think sometimes that's not talked about as much because it's okay, this is the situation that I'm in. Okay, well, how did you start the fitting? Or do you have an open face? Or how are you like interacting with your clients? You know what I mean? So I feel like for the most part, those things can be solved with, I guess, like just personality tweaks, but you can
Mhm.
only do so much. Okay,
Yep.
so hearing like your story from like when you started, you got the shop, you're trekking, you're like, creating better boundaries for yourself. And I feel like everything, it probably doesn't feel that way to you, but it sounds, wow, this was like a pretty easy ride. Like you're like doing what you want to do and you're doing the thing. And so, how do you keep yourself motivated to keep getting better or think about 3 to 5 years in the future? You know what I mean? When it's like you're kind of already
Mhm.
doing what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, how do you keep pushing
Yeah.
yourself?
Well, there's just things I don't know. That's the thing is there's so much I don't know about business. There's so much I don't know about construction or pattern drafting. There's so much. I mean, the cool thing about being a seamstress, I'm so passionate about it, is it's open. It is open to change. It's open to different paths. You can sewed leather and fur, or you can hand embroider. There's so many different things. And I don't know, I have a little bit of an issue with attention and doing the same thing over and over. Bridal has been the opposite. I get to do something different all the time, which I think is great.
Mhm.
I have a harder time understanding what I eventually want it to be, just because
Yes.
I didn't think I would be here so quickly.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
It's like so
so
cool. Yes.
but yeah, so it's still it's mind boggling. I don't feel like I have enough of the professionalism that I would like to have. I might
Mm.
be good at communicating enough because I can find enough words and emote, but the language I wish I was could be a little bit more eloquent with and clean, I guess. But I am who I am and I love who I am and my brides are either gonna love me or they're not, and it's fine. But
Yes, it's working.
I
So don't change that
definitely
part. But yeah,
yeah,
I think that too of like when you grow so much, like in so many different elements, like not just in like your sewing skills, but just as a business owner. And that's okay. So then how do you think about what to do next? And then as you were talking, I'm like, oh, well, Scottsdale is going to help with that. So Leslie's coming to the retreat in
yeah.
Scottsdale. And like that is definitely going to be the theme is remember your why. And it's going to be, I can't wait like for myself too. Of this is why I started, but am I actually doing the things that I wanted to do? Or you know what I mean? So that'll be very exciting for you because yeah, it's like you're already there. So okay.
Yeah, no, I love it. It is definitely something that I need to start focusing on is what's the next 5 years? What is that? Because again, I did this, it's great, it's going, it's fine. There has to be a growth and there's what's the next step.
Yeah.
And so that is a hard thing to wrap your head around. But I am very excited about Scottsdale. It'll be so
Yes.
good.
I know. Okay, can we talk about your shoulder injury? I think a lot of us need to hear that and how did you get through it and what the heck happened? And it's everybody's biggest fear.
Oh my gosh, it really is. And it's something that you think about and fear for someone else.
Right.
And then it happens to you.
Yeah.
So I
I feel like it wasn't even a sporty injury.
oh no, this was a late night stumbling into the bathroom over your husband's not put away luggage. He was, it was terrible. I am blind. Listen, I wear glasses or contacts, and if I don't have those on, heaven help me. So I was just getting up in the middle of the night, and we have a big trunk at the end of our bed that holds all my giant cozy blankets. And then I maybe have 3 feet between the end of the trunk and our wall. And he had put all of his luggage at the
Against
end
the
of the
wall.
trunk on the
No.
floor. And I didn't know that. So I tripped over that and I fell into the door frame of our bathroom. And I went to catch myself with my hand to support myself, but the door was open. So my arm went through and I caught my shoulder on the corner of the door frame
Oh
or the
gosh.
edge,
Mhm.
whatever. And it literally just hit the perfect little spot. So I had a level 2 tear on my AC. I was completely debilitated. Like I could not move my arm. I thought I broke my clavicle, like something happened. It was horrible. And of course, it was in April. So I think,
Yeah.
no, it was in May. It was in May. So I'm like deep into my season. I have a million brides coming in, a million brides going out, like all of those things. And I just, ugh, it was horrible. And of course,
Yeah.
prom season was there. So I just, the next day, my husband came and helped me do a rolled hem because I couldn't move my arm on this. I couldn't lift it. But
Oh my gosh.
he was leaving and he left the next day. So he was gone for 2 weeks. And I'm like, great, I have no help. We're sticking my arm in a sling. It'll be fine. I was freaking out. I remember posting something, be like, well, what do we do? I got so many wonderful calls of people like, I will be there. I will come and help you. I'm like,
I was kind of hoping that we'd have like a weekend, girls' weekend, but that's fine. I was
I
ready.
know, and that would have been awesome, but I needed something more permanent. I needed
Yeah.
to figure out what I could do. And slowly I was able to get more and more movement on my arms. Initial swelling was horrible, but my husband was like, Leslie, at the beginning of the year, you had brought someone in to help. Do you think you could ask her to come back? And I was like, oh, I hadn't even considered that. And so I told
He's
her,
just full of good ideas.
yes, I'm
Like
like,
whole
I
episode.
couldn't lift things. So she was carrying dresses for me. I could get to the point where I could sew with my hands straight down. I couldn't reach up, but I could do that. So she was literally grabbing stuff. She was my babysitter, is what I called her.
Yeah.
So she would get my brides in dresses. So then, like, I couldn't put any pressure on a zipper. But yeah, so she came in like for 3 weeks for me until I could start doing more. And
Mhm.
I just got a really buff left arm.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously.
so I just used it all the time. They said that the level two tear should have healed in 10 to 12 weeks. And then if there were still issues after that, I'd probably need surgery. So I am well past 10 to 12 weeks and I'm thinking I'm going to need surgery. I can't quite, I'm a side sleeper. I can't lay on this side. It grinds when I'm at the gym. It's not great, but it's functioning.
Yeah.
I think the biggest pain I have, which is hilarious, is I can lift dresses and do stuff all day long, but when I'm washing my face, it hurts.
Like this movement.
This, I don't know what it is.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
gosh.
It's so weird, but it was definitely something me needing to look close to home on what is realistic, what help do I need, what function can I do. I had two seamstresses in the area that, again, they would jump over here in a heartbeat and kind of help me.
Yeah.
Both of them I worked at the other bridal shop together. So I did have them
Awesome.
too,
Yeah.
but they were also deep in their season. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but being able, I think that if I had not had this other girl, I probably would have jumped on Facebook and I would have asked for a home seamstress. I would have been like, I need some. I think I would have reached out there and be like, hey, I'll pay you to come in. I need some help with this. If you have basic sewing skills for these things. Or again, the other girl that I had, and she wasn't even doing sewing for me. She was just doing other stuff. So I feel like I could have very easily reached out into my community and found
Right.
somebody. And
Yeah.
I think that was my saving grace.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like those kind of experiences just do make you really think about, okay, who are my people or what are my resources?
Yeah.
My
Because
goodness.
it's scary. I mean, and I don't live in a small town, so that I have more people around here, and I'm close to an Air Force base, so I know that there are girls on that base who are
Yeah.
sewing patches on for people and doing little things.
Yeah.
So I know that I knew what my resources were, and if I didn't, I would have absolutely taken some of you girls up for like, please come in, please come. But I was able to get
Is it
that figured out.
happening? I know. We'll just have a for fun weekend or something that's not like work
Yeah.
based, whatever.
Yes, that's way more fun.
Yes. So, final question, it's kind of like a big one, but if
Mm.
you can think, okay, think of a listener who is maybe where you were at the bridal shop, like on the precipice of, do I do this on my own? What do I do? Like, with all the experience that you have now, I think it might be hard to give them one piece of advice, but what are one or two pieces of advice that you would give that listener?
Oh man, that actually makes me teary. It was a really hard part of my life right there. It was a really hard decision. But I think the biggest thing is to get rid of that imposter syndrome. That the reason why we work is to support our lives. And when your lives change and you need a change, we're able to do that. And so that encouragement of find a way. Don't give up and don't hide under your little hole and just doing things that are not serving you. Because even though, again, I was able to pay my bills working that way, it was draining me of all of the goodness I was feeling. And that is a huge part of who I am. And that's a huge part of what you are bringing home to your family or into your own life. And so, my biggest encouragement is to don't put your head in the sand and just start looking. Sometimes just like those little things and seeing what's possible feeds you and allows you to make decisions. Like knowledge is power. That's isn't that it? I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
people say that knowledge is power. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is having the confidence to just start gaining some of that knowledge. What's around you? What is possible? What do you want? What are those things? That time is always going to be well spent, even if it doesn't work out and you can't find something immediately, but you get to figure out what you want to do. And that's starting that path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just almost like giving yourself the permission to like daydream about it or think of what it could be and then write it down and get it out of your head. And it's like those are the first steps.
I just hope that most people were able, in as human beings, to surround ourselves with positive people who are encouraging. Because again, my husband was the one who encouraged me. My kids encouraged me, which is insane. They were the ones who could remind me of that when I wasn't able to. And it just fell into place the moment that I was gave myself that permission.
That's a great way to wrap up the episode. So, where can people find you?
So from my website to Instagram to Facebook, it's just Lace Envy Alts. And that's ALTS, short for alterations.
Perfect.
So on Instagram, my handle is Lace Envy Alts.
Okay. Well, you know where to find her, but you got to get busy because you're like in the middle of your busy season making a homecoming dress now for your daughter.
Homecoming's on the 4th. And since there's no more Joanne's,
Yes,
I need to order everything on Etsy. And I think all of my stuff will be here the week of homecoming. We're gonna do Fast and Furious dress in 2 days. It'll be great.
Gosh. But again, that goes to the faith of your family because they know you can do it. That's impressive. And yeah. So it's like you have your final 2 busy weeks and then homecoming and then you pack for Scottsdale. Okay, great.
Yeah, I will pack. I might be going early. It's fine. I'm checking out.
Thank you, Leslie, so much. And if you're listening and you just want a word of encouragement, like literally she should be your go-to.